is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Weapon Collective. My name's Jeff, and once again, down in the Gat Cave. I'm pretty stoked about today's video. I'm going to be doing my very first review. I've done some unboxings and gun collection stuff, but this is my first technical gun review. I spent some time shooting this gun, getting to the range, so I have some range footage and just some general specs as well as my overall opinion of this gun. But before I get into that, I did want to take a moment and first make a correction. So in my barrel length video, Size Matters, I did make a mistake that I want to correct. A viewer notified me that I had a slip of the tongue on, it was the 11.5-inch SIG MCX Spear LT. I have a Night Force Attacker on that, and it is a 1-8, not a 1-10. I must have been thinking of the EOTech Voodoo, but it is a 1-8, so I appreciate that viewer for calling me out. I try my best to catch those in editing and at least put a little title down there making a correction, but this one I didn't even notice it. Just slid under the radar, so much appreciation. I definitely want to be as accurate as I possibly can. I will always attempt to do that moving forward. And secondly, you know the routine. Please like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. But without further ado, let's get into the gun review. And what are we reviewing today? Well, let's take a look. All right, it's never as much of a cliffhanger as I'd like it to be because it's always in the thumbnail, so you know. It's gonna be the Cabot Insurrection. And this is the box that it comes in. Try to show you that without that horrible glare. But this is the box. So when you get a gun in a box like this, you know you're in for something special. And of course, this isn't an unboxing. I've already opened this and shot it and everything, but kind of give you the, I'm missing the magazines that it came with and all that, but just wanted to give you a peek at the box and the extra special velvet bag that it comes in. But let's get this out of here. I wanted to share that with you just because I don't have a lot of guns that came in that fancy of a box. So you know you're dealing with something a little different. Let's take a look at it. But before we go any further, I did just want to point out that this is not the magazine that came with it. The Cabot comes with two flush fit 17-round magazines, and I just prefer shooting with the higher capacity magazine as well as the aesthetic. I think the proportions look better with a magazine with an extended base plate, so I left it in. Now, who is Cabot? Cabot is a high-end manufacturer of 1911s, and this is their first double stack 1911. They spent 2 years doing research and development on this gun. Time well spent, in my opinion, because this thing is a beautiful, fantastic shooting firearm. They did a tremendous job with this gun. I have, you can get the Insurrection like as you see here. This is the government model 5-inch barrel, and you can also get it in a commander length of a 4 1/4. This is the 5-inch ported version. I love my ported and compensated handguns. The lines on this gun are awesome. Very, very good looking gun. You can see they have the CG back here for Cabot Guns. This line is interesting right here. The grip is probably the single most striking feature of this thing with the Cabot logo centered there. It does have these cool lines cut into the top of the slide, and of course the barrel porting. Some other cool things that Cabot does is their front sight post. It is not a dovetail coming in from the side. This actually comes in from the end from the end of the slide, and they slide that front sight post in from the tip, and that makes sure that your front sight post doesn't wander any direction. So you always have your front sight post right where it's supposed to be. I think that's a very nice touch. One other thing that Cabot does is their rear sight post. You can see just how skinny that is, which keeps it from hanging too far over the ejection port. Let me show you on a gun with a SRO so you can see just how far forward the SRO gets over that ejection port compared to the Cabot. So that thing is hanging over the ejection port because of the width of this rear sight. And with Cabot having such a narrow rear sight, you can see that it does allow for a little space over that ejection port. And I will cut in a little video right here demonstrating why that matters. And just so you know, I've been shooting this thing a lot. And look at the crap on that SRO lens. So that's the beauty. I mean, even with this very small rear sight, which allows you the sight to sit farther back, not right over the ejection port, it still gets covered in that crap. So you imagine like the staccatos, which is double the thickness of this, pushes that SRO lens even further over that ejection port, makes a difference. So you can clearly see the further you have your SRO or optic back from that ejection port, the less carbon you're going to get splattering on that lens. And then they also have, if you're familiar with 2011s, 1911s, you notice that right here we are missing, right here you do not see the extractor right there. Cabot has their Cabot Advantage internal extractor, which I'm going to insert a little video of that when I had the slide removed. Here we have the internal extractor. Instead of running all the way down here and coming out here, it's just set right in there. So as you can see, it is an internal extractor, and they claim that that's more reliable. And in my experience, I can't say I can confirm or deny that. I have had zero malfunctions with this gun, but as far as extractors go, on all my other 2011s, I haven't had any issues with those extractors either. So I can't say one way or the other that it's more reliable, but at this point, I will take their word for it. Coming back to this line here, now, I think for me, I did see some videos where people were talking about using that ledge as kind of a built-in gas pedal. I'm gonna say there's not enough ledge there to really get much of a grip on my thumb to call it a gas pedal. I'm gonna say it's purely aesthetic for me. Maybe somebody else is doing something different, but the way I shoot and where my thumb is, I didn't think that there's enough width there to actually use it as a gas pedal. So this grip, the frame, and the slide are all stainless steel, and then it's finished with a plasma DLC coating. And I think it is a fantastic looking finish. Very nice. I'm interested to see how it wears and what happens over time, but right now it looks gorgeous. There is Insurrection actually embossed into the barrel, which I think is a nice little touch. And the overall weight and balance of this gun is fantastic. Very ergonomic, feels very natural in your hand to point and aim is very natural with this. They did a fantastic job in the weight distribution. And then the trigger on this thing is about 3.5 pounds. Little bit of take up, and then nice, clean, crisp break, and little reset, audible, and then back to a very clean, crisp break. In a perfect world, I would delete this grip safety and I would like a larger magwell. Other than that, I don't have a lot of complaints about this gun. It is a very nice shooting gun. And now I'm going to start cutting into some range footage. So the first thing I did at the range was zero it. I didn't film that, but I did confirm zero, and this thing is an accurate freaking gun. Let's take a look at that. So that grouping for me at 10 yards is tight. I shoot quite a bit, but I'm no pew view. You know, I don't claim to be some amazing shooter. This gun was very easy to shoot. We went from confirming that zero and getting a little accuracy at 10 yards, and then we moved over to the plate rack and did some faster shooting, and let's take a look at that. Felt faster than that. Okay, that was a 3.6. Okay, that was a 339. Ooh, lightning. I think we're about to get dumped on, folks. Ah, 3.8 with that pickup. Oh, I hit him. 353, but it didn't fall. I hit it though. So that's not the fastest I've ever run a plate rack, but this thing was very well balanced and just moved from plate to plate with the very easily timed, very predictable, which I like. From that plate rack, we ran some bill drills. So let's take a look at that. 199, that's under 2. That's what I'm going for. But you hear that little hiccup in there? Definitely had a trigger hiccup. I missed one, but that was a 169. That's a 179. Whoa, that was like 7 shots too. 191. 193. 176. That's about where I should be, right there. So the bill drill is where I kind of started thinking maybe this thing, it doesn't feel all that fast. So maybe I'm going to compare it to something like my Atlas Erebus. I got my Erebus out and ran bill drills, and it was slightly faster, but not that much. And this is where I kind of came up with an analogy. So the impression that I get from this gun compared to the Atlas, I'm going to say the Atlas is high-end performance sports car. And this is going to be, although still high performance, but more luxury sedan, kind of like a Aston Martin or a Bentley, where it's really high performance, but just luxury. This thing is more gives me the impression that I want to baby it a little bit, kind of rub it with the diaper. And, you know, at the end of the day, it just maybe didn't feel like it could go up against the Ferraris. But, you know, once I put it on the clock, they are neck and neck. And the limiting factor there is me as the shooter. So I'm going to say this thing is just as fast, just as good shooting as an Atlas, or it's very close, but it just gives me a different feel, a different vibe, and that's the luxury item. The limiting factor being me at the trigger. I just walk away with the overall aesthetic emotion that I get from this gun. It doesn't feel as aggressive, as mean, as just aggro as the Atlas does. They feel a little more rugged and aggressive. This thing, I'm just going to keep going back to a little more luxury, a little more prestige. But it's when you're shooting it, it runs and it is mean. So here's a little more shooting at the range. This gun is fast, it's very well weighted, balanced, the trigger's great, the grip is fantastic, the ports kick ass. I am very impressed with the Cabot Insurrection. I think this is one of my best shooting guns that I own. Top 5. So I'm going to throw this in the rotation, keep a round count, keep track of what happens if my opinion changes. But as of now, with the 1,000-round review, this thing has run flawlessly. It's eaten 115, 124, 147 grain, no problem, not a single malfunction. I ran it it was in the rain, I ran it in the dark, I ran it under night vision, I ran it under perfect conditions, and not a single hiccup. This thing ran flawlessly. I am very impressed with the Cabot Insurrection. It has been an awesome gun. If you have the opportunity to pick one up or just to fire one, don't miss that chance. This thing is sweet. Please like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I'm Jeff for the Weapon Collective, reminding you to keep your weapons collected and keep collecting your weapons. I'll catch you next time. Okay, coming soon, the night vision video, full gear video. So let's go dark. You see that? That C-zone still down there? Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. That's fine. I see the and then this is an in-gall, so full power laser. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright.